Major League Baseball is proposing, or I should say, they're toying around with a new rule change that would impose a minimum 6 innings for starting pitchers. They would have to go a full 6 innings under most circumstances. There are some what they're calling carve outs. There are some opportunities for that, for some wiggle room there, and we'll get into those. But the goals are they want to restore the prominence to the starting pitching role. And I think we can all agree that certainly with the advent of the opener and that strategy, the starting pitching role has sort of fractured in recent years. What we've also seen is that there's an enormous divide between pitchers who can go 6, 7 plus and those that can't. And the majority of them can't. So you've got guys like Garrett Cole, Justin Verlander historically, even Clayton Kershaw, who can go deep into games. But that list is growing smaller and smaller as we go. So they want to restore prominence back to the starting pitching role. The other thing they want to do is they want to avoid injury. These are their two prominent goals. They want to avoid injury. Now, I don't necessarily understand how that would avoid injury other than forcing guys to measure themselves, take a different approach, warm up differently, et cetera, et cetera. If they do that, it's going to be a season or two. We're probably going to see more injuries right up front. I can see this being a long-term benefit as guys develop new techniques in their game and their approach and everything like that. And I think, though, the biggest thing is this will come back to actual pitching and not just throwing the ball as hard as possible. If you want to understand more of what that's like and get a really stark comparison versus the game we watched today, you got to read David Cohn's book, Full Count. It chronicles his pitching journey, his career, and it's all wrapped around his perfect game thrown. The guy knows exactly what he's talking about, but he was a gamesman he was a strategist on the mound rather than being a fireballer exclusively. And so I think that's what we'll end up getting back to. I prefer that. I think that's better to have actual tricky pitchers rather and people can paint corners and throw junk and stuff like that. I like that a lot rather than guys hurling it as hard as they can. Okay, they also want to infuse some offense into the middle innings, which is going to be inevitable. We know pitching has been just incredible the last few years, and this is going to help batters for sure. 3 carve-outs. If the pitcher throws 100 pitches or more, you could take him out prior to 6 innings. If he gives up 4 or more earned runs, you can pull him out prior to 6 innings. Or if he gets injured. If he gets injured, that would require a stint on the IL. That would avoid manipulating the system, is essentially what they're saying. So, again, this is proposed. We don't know when or if this is going to be instated. I wouldn't be surprised if this got plugged in. I want to know your thoughts and feelings, baseball family. I'm not wholly against it, as I'm sure you can tell. I think this might be a really good thing, but it won't be a really good thing for a couple of years. It could be as little as 1, but I think this is Major League Baseball's next attempt to revert back to the classic game that most of us grew up watching and fell in love with. And I like that. I think banning the shift was a very similar move. And if it's going to go the way banning the shift went, where we end up with a situation where we don't notice anymore, same with mound visits. We just don't even notice how many mound visits there have been. Then that'd be great. If it's like the disengagement rule, where we all are keeping track of that, we all notice what's going on, how many disengagements, then we're going to end up with a different scenario. And I wonder which way it'll play out. I don't know.